Hey everyone,
Welcome to
The Hero Couch.
Say cheese.
I'm Oz.
I'm Drew.
Today we're recording. It's officially Batman Day this year.
Yep. And
Kinda
so,
came out of left field.
yeah, so he's got his kind of Keaton-esque outfit on, doing his best 1989 Batman. And so we thought it'd be fitting today to talk about a very special subject then.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Exactly.
As you guys heard in our episode 0, we kind of bonded through Spider-Man.
Exactly.
So we wanted our first of this little sub-series touching on a character to be about our favorite
Yep.
wall crawler.
And we will get to Batman later on. It's not like we're just forgetting about him. We're just going to take a second to talk about some hero that means a lot to
Right.
us.
Batman, first things first, Spider-Man.
Exactly. So I guess let's just hop right into it.
Yeah, I think so. You want to hand me that red stone over there?
Reality time?
I think so.
Here you go.
Thank you, good sir.
Wow. That's magic.
Right? The stones are pretty powerful.
No, I meant my editing.
Valid point.
Um,
Also valid.
So now we're all suited up. We're in our Spider-Man costumes. I think we're ready to talk about Spidey now.
Yeah.
So, I think we gotta start with the very beginning. Of course, Spider-Man has always been the nerdy hero. He
Right.
started out as the kid who would get bullied all the time.
Yeah, he was the most grounded hero that comic books had to offer. Someone you could, no matter who you were, you could put yourself in his shoes.
Exactly. Starting out as a nerdy kid in New York, getting bullied all the time in high school. Flash Thompson, for example,
Right.
being the major bully there. Eventually going on a field trip, gets bitten by a radioactive spider.
Right, yeah, and then that spider decided Peter looked nummy, and even though he was radioactive and didn't have a reason to bite him,
Well,
he wanted to fit in with the cool kid spiders.
it depends. If we're talking Spider-Verse, the spider was destined to bite him.
That's
it
true.
was just right place, right time, and it was, like, predetermined.
Already, the muddy
That's-
waters.
That's
canon.
a lot to go into,
Oh, yeah.
though. For now, the spider just decides Peter looks tasty and wants a little snack.
Yeah, he just watched a vampire movie, saw Twilight for the first time, and decided he wanted to take a nibble.
God damn it.
Yeah, after that field trip, he went back home, he felt sick, passed out, woke up, oh my gosh, I got the proportional strength and abilities of a spider.
I'm sticky now! That's all that went through his head.
So what else do I do? Make a watch that shoots webs.
He's such a smart, intelligent character. I think out of all of the human, like, mortal MCU
Yeah.
characters, he's up there as one of the smartest.
Oh, absolutely. I know there's the whole scale with, like, Moon Girl and Amadeus Cho, but
Right.
from the beginning, Peter was meant to be a nerd.
Exactly. He knows his way around tech. He nails
Right.
it. It's part of the reason I really like Worldwide
Yeah.
is because it goes in depth. I know that Parker Industries wasn't technically Parker's to start with,
Right.
but he kind of keeps it living for at least a decent while
Yeah.
and does a good job.
As soon as he got back into the saddle.
Yeah.
But after many excursions, which we will shortly cover, Yeah, that was one of the plot
Yes.
points. Progressed from there. More stuff went down. The Amazing Spider-Man ended, and then a bunch of other Spider-Man series started.
Exactly, but right now we're focusing on Peter. As we all know, Peter right away doesn't become a hero. He becomes a celebrity. Eventually, stuff goes down. What's the word I'm looking for? The manager of Spider-Man?
Yeah.
He gets robbed, and Peter decides not to stop him.
The manager of the Human Spider.
Right.
The name wrong.
Right, the human spider. Spider-Man! That's not my name! That's not my name!
Kid's gonna get eaten alive.
Boomsaw! Oh my god.
Boomsaw is
He goes
ready.
into wrestling in some versions, and in other versions, he just becomes kind of a television performer.
Yeah.
Depends on what you're reading.
There's even What If, where he stays as television performer. But
Yeah, that's very true.
What If is not what we're covering here today.
Yeah. Eventually, yes, he lets this thief get away with the money, and this thief ends up killing his Uncle Ben, who was his adoptive father. And originally in the comics, they don't really go over him. He's just kind of the scapegoat of why Peter is the way he is.
Right, but comics back then really took a lot of... they were there to tell the stories, and then they had to get through that stuff kind of fast.
But over time, they really did build up Ben Parker, and I think that's why it's such an impactful moment today.
Yeah, he was the foundations for Peter's moral compass.
Yeah.
And that's where we got the famous lines that are known throughout comic book history and the world. With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. I know it's a little controversial, but one of my favorite renditions of Uncle Ben was the most recent Spider-Man cartoon.
Interesting.
From, what was it, 2017, 2018? I don't remember how
the
recently.
Disney XD series.
Yeah. The one after Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, that was also on Disney XD, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was too. But it had a really great representation of Uncle Ben, and he brought in the great power comes great responsibility line in a really fun way.
Yeah.
He goes, I don't know a lot about science or math, but I do know this, and he writes down an equation with GR equals great, or so, I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was like with great power comes great responsibility, and it was an equation that was meant to represent that.
And it's brilliant. That show is brilliant.
I feel like it's underappreciated, but I think if you liked Spectacular Spider-Man, you would actually really like it.
If you can handle, just like with Ultimate Spider-Man, you look at the art style and you think kids show. It's really up to you if you can look past that to actually see the plot lines.
They
and the
do
progression.
A great version of Spider Island.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my god, I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, wasn't that when they introduced? No, that was when Miles was getting acquainted to his powers still. That was like his test to show he could control his invisibility.
I think it might have been something like that. I don't remember how Miles got his powers in the show. It's skipping my mind. It's been a little while since I watched it.
He was Spider-Man for a little bit.
He was.
That was when he had to...
Gwen gets her powers, and she, like, even like the suit and everything.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, did she have a suit? Yeah, she did get a suit.
Yeah, so did, oh gosh, what's her name? Anya?
Anya, yep.
Yeah.
Anya got a suit. I thought that was so much fun that we got to see everyone come together.
In the same universe.
It was just such a great representation of that show, and the stealth suit that they made for Peter was really cool, too.
Agreed. But,
anyways,
speaking of representation, I think we should definitely talk about Spidey's representation in the movies and in the shows.
Yes, we've had 3 movies and a plethora of shows over the year. We're not going to cover everything or touch on much. We just kind of want to talk about them a little bit.
3 franchises.
Yes. I think the main ones we're going to cover are the movies today.
Absolutely. Starting out chronologically, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yes.
Sam Raimi. That was obviously the nostalgic staple of the comic book industry for millions of people.
Those movies are how I first saw Spider-Man.
Right, and same with a lot of America.
Yeah, honestly.
Right, and they started out right out the bat showing Peter as the nerd who gets his powers, learns his lesson.
Yeah.
All of the topics you need to cover with Spider-Man. He takes the hard knocks and keeps going, just like Peter is known to do.
Yeah, it's really great. I think it's fun that it keeps this comic book campiness to it throughout the movies. It doesn't take itself super seriously.
Right. The jig's up, Gabi.
It feels like it's torn from a comic book, and that's what I love about it. Even the scenery looks like it's from a comic book.
Right.
I think the one issue a lot of people have is the third film.
Yeah.
I get where they're coming from. I don't agree.
Right. It's a lot of people take out their disapproval of what happens behind the scenes with studios,
right,
and like big money execs. Like, we can't really control that.
Right.
What we got, I thoroughly enjoyed.
I thought it was a fun time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are moments where watching it back now, it's like, oh, that's a little cringy, but
it's a little hard
sometimes. But doesn't have that factor.
If you watch any movie from like the early 2000s, you're gonna get a little bit of that early 2000s stink.
Exactly. Great way to put it. Yeah. Then when we get out of that stink,
we get out of that stink and we reach Andrew Garfield, and I think
Mark Webber series.
This is when visually these movies started getting more refined.
Right.
I love the CGI so much between the Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I think they did an amazing job visually.
Indeed. I mean, not to mention that he's the only like live action movie Spider-Man that has his suit rippling in the wind, and any point of like the seamlessness goes away a little bit, which I think is kind of how Spider-Man's originally meant to be.
Yeah, he did build his own suit from scratch in the comics. And
Exactly.
they go over that in Tobey's films, but no way a college kid, or at that time a high school kid, was gonna make a suit.
suit, right?
Like, that's just too intricate.
Exactly.
Andrew's is also very intricate, but
they made it.
They make it
natural.
look really real.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, going through the luge and like all of the different suits throughout like Olympic and sporting history.
Spandex.
It's all
spandex. Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
It's so funny.
It touches on a lot of things that are a real good backtrack to the comics.
As well as he's the first live action Spider-Man in terms of, I guess, mainstream movies. We could count the 70s, but he's in like blockbuster movies.
Right.
He's the first Spider-Man to be, I think, as comically accurate as possible on the big screen.
Otherwise, I think we could probably count Spider-Man's movie as in the canon then.
I mean, we could.
Pardon.
We could.
Sword Vega.
The emissary from hell himself. Jeez.
I love it.
No, but his suit was the most comic accurate too, especially in the second film.
The second one, easily my favorite Spider suit.
I nut a little bit every time.
Yeah, we can save the suit stories for later.
Yes.
Anyways, the villains in those movies great too, just like the first set.
William Dafoe from the Tobey films, I think, was an amazing standout villain, and I think he's the standout from that trilogy.
Oh yeah, I mean Doc Ock is great.
You could go Alfred Molina, but William Dafoe holds a very strong verse, I think.
He's the staple for
now
trilogy.
For Amazing Spider-Man, that's a little bit harder.
Right.
I liked Dr. Connors,
right, and
but I feel like
him really well. But it doesn't have the pizzazz that some of the other villains
Electro was the real standout from that trilogy, in my opinion. Trilogy. It only got 2 films. Yeah, we never got to the third film with the trees that we mentioned in episode 1.
Tree Man.
Tree Man.
Yeah. They just revealed recently, since there's been a lot of talk with Andrew and Tobey lately. They just revealed recently that they had several meetings about the Sinister Six movie. Like,
really?
They were going in progress with it before it was canned. Right. But, anyways.
Yep.
C'est
la vie.
Yeah, right. What happens, happens. And then we got a gem, a diamond in the rough out of it with Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, I think he was the number 1 pick for a lot of fans, but a lot of other people were super skeptical.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of the MCU cast were also this, but he was a nobody. Really, I mean, he was a circus performer, which is awesome.
It is really cool, and I mean, it's fitting for the character. He got the movements down, doing a lot of his stunts too. Yeah. Tom really embodies Peter. I think.
He fills out the suit.
Now they skip. This is the first film where they skip over his origin. They don't touch on Uncle Ben, and the only time they did was a briefcase in live action.
Yeah.
you want to count What If, then I guess they name drop him, but
it's
that's
an
it.
alternate reality, so
Right.
Doesn't really count.
But yeah, they don't go over Uncle Ben at all, which I think is kind of refreshing in a way, but I still wish we would have seen a little bit of that. At least touch on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the give and takes. The takes are, like, it doesn't loop back to the comics as much as a lot of people are used to and what we enjoy seeing. It doesn't... If it was a new viewer, it feels like they're lacking that foundation that we got to see him grow with.
Yeah.
But I think, as with a lot of the MCU storylines, they wrote it to adapt their stories and their characters really well. Making him kind of the Robin of Batman to
Iron
Spidey
Man.
and Tony.
Tony. He really was like that mentor, and I really like that dynamic. They've done some stuff like that in the comics, especially Civil War a little bit.
Yeah.
But I really loved their dynamic. It was really it was really Batman and Robin.
Exactly. And a lot of people, I feel like the people who complain about it don't realize how unique the MCU is making their stories.
It is, because they don't want to stick just to the comics. They want to branch out and do their own thing, and that's what I want to. I don't want, like, replicas of the comics. I want new stories inspired by that. I want to see a new take from a new perspective.
Indeed. And, like, the biggest complaint I've heard is that, like, he's Iron Man Jr. That's, like, such a comment. But it's like...
He's not, though.
He needs...
That's hardly...
If you want to keep him as Peter, you need to keep that foundation of responsibility, which I feel like they push really well with Tony. And it makes him fold as a late addition to the team. He folds into the team perfectly.
He does.
Yeah.
Kind of, like, it almost feels like he's the next generation of Avengers. That feels like what they've set him up to be, and that he's going to bring this together.
Right, and they left it. They left it right at the point where he's about to be his own, like, totally individual character now.
Yep.
So I feel like those arguments are moot anyways.
I'm really excited for this new film. I think the direction they've taken him in the MCU has been super good, especially because so far every other Spider-Man we've gotten in film has kind of been trying to replicate the comics pretty close.
Right.
Still with their own spin, but origins are all going to be the same. What they end up doing, it's going to be the same. It's just kind of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Right.
This Spider-Man's a lot more than that.
I totally agree, and I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's every comic run is a different writer, a different artist. Every run has its own personality of who Peter is. Mm-hmm. I think that's exactly what direction the movie should have been taking.
Absolutely.
And they did a little bit, but now they're really doing it.
Yeah.
I would have nothing I'd change, but with that, should we move on from the movies and maybe cover some of the important characters?
Yes, let's go over some other important characters of Spider-Man's. Where do we want to start?
I'd say no story can really stand on its own without a good bad guy.
So we're going to go villains first. Okay.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, we have a full rogue gallery, almost catching up to Batman.
Yeah, honestly.
We've got so many. It starts out with, obviously, like Sandman, Green Goblin.
Green Goblin's the big one, I think. Always Vulture, the main foe. Vulture, Kraven.
Electro, Chameleon.
There's a lot of great characters.
Yeah, the list goes on and on.
Mysterio.
Yeah. And they're all reflected in such great stories.
Yes. I don't think there's ever been, like, a villain, at least, well, there's been some pretty bad villains, but...
That is true.
I think most of them are huge hits, all of which I really want to see represented in the films more that we don't see very often.
Absolutely. It's great that we've had nods to Prowler in the MCU.
Yes, if we could get a Prowler MCU appearance, like, I want to see what that costume would look like so badly.
Me too. I love the MCU suits, so seeing the characters, I know Kraven will be Sony, not Marvel, but still
excited for that.
Yeah, they did Venom.
Exactly.
If that's not enough for you, I don't know what is.
One villain that I hold very close to my heart is Sandman.
Yeah.
I really like Clint Marco. For one, he played a major role in the Spectacular Spider-Man show, as well as Spider-Man 3 being a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, I mean, they wrote him to be the guy who killed Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
That's big, I love it.
It's a giant twist for Tobey's, like, films.
Yeah, it's something that gives his little world a little bit of variance.
It does. I like it.
Yeah.
But what got me specifically, what really made me like him, I couldn't tell you what issue it is because I was really young when I got this comic.
Oh, yeah.
I was at Universal Studios and they had like a little Marvel comic shop, and I picked up a few things, but one of which was this Spider-Man comic, and that's where I first not only discovered about some of his gadgets, like his web sling, like his web belt, but where I discovered Sandman in the comics. He was the villain for the issue, and seeing him construct these giant like monstrosities out of sand, from full scale castles to like cannon fodder, was so cool.
Yeah.
His power set is so cool.
He's such a creative and unique villain. I mean, there are obviously ones like Clayface.
Right.
Like, they're goop. But there's a lot of goop and
there is a lot of
sand,
goop,
I gotta say. And we have great representation of him in Spectacular with the sandcastle arc with his daughter.
I mean, Vertigo can't even get Sandman right. He's not made of sand.
Tree Man.
Tree Man! Exactly. Next time on the Hero Couch, we get Tree Man on. I think these suits are getting so warm it's getting to my head.
Yeah, that would make sense. Should we,
we got a little bit more to talk about. We'll suffer on further.
Okay, fair enough. Should we move on to another villain?
Yes. What's a big villain for you? One of your favorites?
I have always really leaned towards the symbiotes. Venom started out as a villain. I mean, we met him in Secret Wars. The Avengers invited Spidey to shoot off into space, fight some bad guys up there, and in the midst, they wandered into this lab, and they were like, I think it was Thor and Hulk were walking out. Thor and someone. They were walking out, and Spidey was walking in, and he's like, "What's that?" And they're like, "It just gave us new armor. Look at this. Battle is fully repaired." And Spidey was like, "No way." And then he goes in and he
touches the goop,
floating in a ball, gets the black suit, and it's spawns off Venom, which is one of the most creative stories I've heard. And then it's a symbiotic parasite goo that gives you powers and heals you. Way too cool.
It is really cool.
And matches the malice of Eddie Brock.
Yep.
It has had countless babies into different villains, including Carnage, who is Venom turns good, he gets clean.
Yep, and they wanted to keep working with symbiotes and have an evil symbiote.
So they made the most murderous and lack of character one, which I love. He's just murder, stab is the character definition for Cletus.
Well, I don't know. I feel like there's a little more to Cletus himself, but for the Carnage symbiote, that is kind of what he is.
Agreed. Yeah, he's got baggage.
Yeah. That's the understatement of the year.
Right.
Yeah, there's some great Spider-Man villains. We should probably go over some of his, I guess, team members at this point.
Yeah, he's teamed up with so many people.
Not just heroes, though. I'm talking like Jameson. Currently with the comics, Jameson being his man in the chair.
Yeah.
I love that.
He used to try and murder him.
Yeah, it used to be like,
that Spider-Man is a menace! I gotta make robots to try and take him off buildings and kill him. Get me pictures of Spider-Man! Get you a man who can do both.
Oh my God, exactly.
Right.
But now he's become one of his best partners of all time.
Right.
If you haven't read Peter Parker, I think it's Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, the first 6 issues.
Yeah, I think that's the series that ties in with Spider-Geddon. I mean, they had an entire side story with Jonah and Peter before Peter joined the fight.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know if I read that one unless that was later on. The first 6 issues, though, of that series, it leads up to when they kind of realize, oh shit, we should just help each other, more or less.
Yeah.
In an interview with Spider-Man. And in like Jameson's apartment, and I think it's one of like the most heartfelt moments because Jameson, for the first time, really opens up.
Nice. good.
Same with
it's
Peter.
Due time. He's such an interesting character.
He is, and I'm glad they changed that aspect of him. He's no longer going after Spider-Man, he's helping him, and I love their dynamic. Because he still has some of that Spider-Man as a menace vibe to him.
Right.
And it still comes out time to time.
Yeah, he's got to keep him in check. Keep him on his toes.
But at the end of the day, they're friends. To the point where when he was tortured, more or less, captured, and villains tried to get his identity, Spider-Man's identity from Jameson, he kept his mouth shut.
Exactly, just like in Tobey's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He sends his pictures in through the mail.
Yeah.
That's great.
At the end of the day, Jameson is a really good guy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And we've had other team, like even Jameson's son, Mr. Werewolf.
Yeah.
Mr. Space Werewolf at that.
Mr. Space Werewolf. Oh my god.
Has Spider-Man even teamed up with him? That'd be really odd. Especially since it's Jameson's son.
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think I've seen any.
I know he's saved him on countless occasions, and he's probably helped time to time. I can't think of anything specifically, though, off the top of my head.
Well, speaking of redeemed Spider-Man antagonists becoming team members, Flash Thompson as Agent Venom. Like that. When I was reading Agent Venom as it came out, I was reading him at Fleet Farm, as I mentioned in my in our episode 0. But yeah, I was reading Agent Venom, and I thought it was like basically like what if, like an alternate reality type story, just like a side story. And then when I saw them start to team up, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And Agent Venom is incredible. Agent Anti-Venom is just as cool. And he's a great character. Great redemption arc, truly.
Absolutely.
Just like Eddie in the Venom.
I think Flash has always wanted to do good. Similar thing with Jameson on that front. I mean, he was a huge Spider-Man fan.
Right.
He just didn't know how to deal with his emotions in high school.
Right, which is the flip-flop of Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
Big Peter fan, but hates Spider-Man.
Exactly. I think that dynamic was kind of funny in the comics.
I agree. He's teamed up with other heroes too.
A lot of heroes.
We've got the Human Torch is like one of his best friends.
Yep.
Daredevil is. They're kind of like. I think they have like an even playing field, is what I understand. Like they're not like brothers or like really good friends.
They keep each other in check.
Right. They realize they're at like the same level, and they both go through a lot of shit together. So they're a really cool relationship.
Wolverine too.
Yeah,
a lot of team-ups with them.
Those. Peter, it's amazing. Their creativity, because every time it's just like a wacky story too. But I guess that is very on par with Wolverine.
It is absolutely. It is straight from X-Men.
We'll have 8 episodes about Wolverine.
Yeah, we'll take that long.
Right.
Punisher.
Oh yes. Blade.
Blade. Oh my god.
Any of them that show up in the animated series, they're great. Yeah.
I mean, Spider-Man's teamed up with too many heroes to go over. When you look at the Marvel team-up comics, I think all but like 2 or 4 of them have Spider-Man.
Exactly.
It's all Spider-Man, at least from like the 80s run and like the...
Like, even I remember people were like so surprised that he was close with Hope in the What If episode, Zombies, and it's like one of the arcs I remember owning as a kid was Cry Vengeance, where Wasp gets murdered and Spider-Man is just destroyed about it. And I had no other context to it as a kid, so I was like, why is he so upset about Wasp? Has he, like, even had a conversation with him? But he crosses over with everybody.
Yeah. I don't think there's a soul that he hasn't met.
Probably not. He even met a spirit dog in Doctor Strange's house.
I swear, I love how he's such a street level hero, and yet this man has gone through like space and other realities.
You're right.
And he's gone through time. This New York kid has been through everything. He's literally seen hell.
Right. I don't think they've chalked it up better anywhere other than in Far From Home, when he was like, I don't think I'm qualified for this, and Nick Fury's like, bitch, please, you've been to space. Like, that's an understatement for where Peter's been, but just perfectly.
Exactly. And I don't think we can go over Peter, though, without talking about the other Peters. Technically not Peters, but because we have Ben and Kane, and
Yeah.
we'll save a little bit of time for the Scarlet Spiders another day.
Right. I think we...
Because that's a lot to get into.
Agree.
The Clone Saga is an episode of its own.
Couple.
But as you guys know, we're huge Ben Reilly fans.
Indeed. And it's hard to talk about Peter without it. I mean, hell, when he was introduced, Peter went to prison. Like, a lot of important stuff happened.
Yeah.
I think one of the ones that's ingrained in my memory is from one of the early issues of Ben's run when he finally got to be Spider-Man, and Peter was still in the series, but he was just being Peter.
Yeah.
And Ben had discovered a duffel bag in this chimney of this house that was burnt down. Pulled open the duffel bag, opened it up, and it was like a dead Spider-Man. Like normal Spidey suit, skeleton, burned.
Yeah.
And it was like how they started to lead onto the trail to the Jackal. But it was just... There were so many clones of Peter.
There really were.
But only the best two remained.
Yep. And I think Ben Reilly's solo run from... When was that? 20... Oh my god.
18?
Was it that recent? It might have been.
2017?
Somewhere around there. His solo run to this day is one of my favorite Ben Reilly stories.
Agreed.
I read through it all in like under a week.
Right. I think one of the things that kept malice for him in the community was that he was a shitbag when we left him off. I mean, when he turned into the Jackal, no one liked him, and even Peter didn't like him. Like, dude was like, "You are not going to revive," or like, "Why didn't you revive Uncle Ben then?" Like,
yeah.
And then they just beat the shit out of each other. Things were left not fixed.
It wasn't great.
Ben was dead again, and then he got his own run after. Was it after Spider-Geddon or right before?
I couldn't tell you, dude.
They're so close together.
I couldn't tell you.
But yeah.
I love that run so much.
Yeah.
The fact that it's no longer in New York, it takes place in Las Vegas, I think is a nice change of scene.
Right.
And he's nothing like Spider-Man. The first issue really sets that up where he saves a woman and then charges her.
Right. Steals a cosplay off a guy.
Yeah, gives her a fucking gun and says, "Be safe."
But most importantly, he becomes a good guy again.
He does.
He gets his own character again. He is Ben Reilly again.
He becomes a hero by the end of it. Like a true hero.
And we know we're going to get him back soon, taking over the mantle of Spider-Man again.
Yes. And
we have Kane, of course, who in that run of Scarlet Spider likes Ben Reilly finally. They actually become brothers, basically. And it's great.
It really redeems the two's relationship, and I think that's what we needed. I didn't like that they were always kind of at each other's necks. Agreed. I like that they've bonded.
Me too, especially since they're both Spider-Man now.
But exactly.
Yeah, moving on from Ben Reilly, we've got some... I think one of my favorite things about him, before we do move on, is his web shooters.
Oh, yes.
The impact shooters. It always felt great that it was just the littlest detail to separate him from Peter Spider-Man, and Ben Reilly just like walloped people. Like he had web shooters that were made for beating people up.
He just sucker punches them with like the largest balls of web I have ever seen.
Right. It's like putting a rock in your snowball. That was Ben Reilly's web shooters.
Exactly. I mean, his whole design was amazing though.
Agreed.
I love his original costume. Well, not his like just replica Spider-Man suit. I'm talking the hoodie.
Yeah, the red spandex that he made, he sewed together.
The hoodie that he tore, I think he tore the sleeves off of it. It was just sitting in the window of a shop.
The original one was a hoodie. It was a normal hoodie with its arms cut off.
Oh, the arms were already cut off.
He either painted or sewed on the spider, made the suit, but it got destroyed in the Planet of the Symbiotes arc, and that's when he found a hoodie that fit in the mall and just ripped it apart.
That's yeah. There we go.
I knew exactly what run you're into.
Yeah.
Symbiotes and Ben Reilly, I'm there.
I think though that is a good place to move on from here
to the other suits.
No, I was thinking we'd start off with the tech.
Yeah, indeed. What is a suit without its technology?
Exactly.
We have a wide... for a skin-tight suit, the dude knows how to pack a lot of utility.
He really does. Starting off, I think, with the most iconic gadget of his web shooters.
Right.
He wouldn't be the hero without his web shooters that he is today.
Right.
Originally, they wanted to give him a web gun. That didn't work out, and I'm very glad it didn't.
I wonder why.
But the original designs, it was a gun.
Yeah, didn't they release the toys of it?
Possibly. I wouldn't be.
They did release a toy web gun. I remember that. I'm not sure if that was because of what they were writing though. Yeah. Amazing. And we have so many different versions of them, like from Ben Reilly's Impact Shooters to classic Peter's, the Formula.
Yep. The standard metal cuff with like the bar going down in his hands, being able to press the button. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be smaller. Sometimes they'll be with, like, for example, the Far From Home suit. It's just like this little five-sided shape that's the size of a quarter.
It reminds me of Ultimate Spider-Man. How they had they're like, this thing, what the hell? And he puts it on and it like shrinks down.
Yes, I love that so much. It really does remind me of that, and it has. Like, the MCU shooters have all that kind of tech. It's not just one web shooter and then he can figure out how to do these shapes. They'll just have it. He'll set it to a different mode, and I like that. Yeah, it explains how he can do all of this stuff with one set of web shooters.
He even can use his another gadget, the spider trackers.
Yep.
How he can, in Homecoming, he has the screen to project the tracker where it's going. And with the trackers, he uses it all the time.
It's, I think, his number 2 gadget.
Yeah. I mean, how else are you going to track bad guys down when you don't have a car?
Exactly. I think the trackers are one of my favorite gadgets. It's one that I wish was possible to make, something that you could just throw and it would stick. Right. I know it's not possible to do what I want to do, but I think that'd be just so cool to be like, wow, car moving. Aha, there you are.
Right. If you could, it'd probably be blacklisted.
It would be kind of illegal, probably, to track someone's location illegally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I always like making superhero gadgets.
It is vigilantism. So.
Yeah.
My favorite gadget of Spider-Man it really has a nonsensical reason for being my favorite. But I had a pair of a onesie, pajamas when I was this tall.
I know where you're going
2
with
years
this.
old. I had the web wings.
Me too. Yeah. I had the same thing.
I loved those, and when they had them in Homecoming,
it made me so happy.
Oh my gosh! It was like, God! I don't even know. Seeing a deity, like, I'm honored.
The web wings, I think, should always be a staple of the suit. They need to utilize them more.
Right. Agreed. Yeah.
They've been around forever.
Yeah, since the original suit.
Yeah.
The first debut panel.
It has the web wings. I wish they would have stuck with it. I get why they don't. It's clunky.
Right.
But
yeah, it never fails.
Yeah.
Right, and then he has, like you mentioned earlier, the web cartridge belt.
And with that, he's got his, what was it, spider signal? Yeah, the spider signal. And that is one of the most useless gadgets, but it's so much fun. I love the tease of it in the MCU, although that was from the web shooter. Spectacular Spider-Man uses it a lot.
Yeah. He's like,
they're not a lot.
Do you think this is doing too much, or whatever he says?
Yeah, it's right away they open up with that, and
it's
I love it.
Perfect. It's so campy. It's great. What other the spider bots?
Yeah, spider bots. I think comic wise, it was Otto that first started using those. Unless they might have had a few other spider bots beforehand.
I'm sure they have.
They must have, like, in the 70s or 80s, but I can't think of a specific
The last 5 years are really where they popped off.
Yeah.
Otto using them all the time.
In the MCU, sorry, the PS4 game, they were brought back. Yeah. And I guess you could say in the MCU they were brought back with this little guy, the spider drone, in the MCU suit.
Another thing worth mentioning is the kind of canon in some way, Disney Parks, Avengers Campus.
Yes.
They even sell the little spider bots.
You can get the spider bots. Yeah, they have a whole attraction. Yeah. You can buy the web shooters to go with it, which if I go, I will, just because I want them.
I'm getting the web shooters.
You don't need them.
The replica Tom web shooters and the spider bot. Like,
absolutely. Me too.
It's over on site.
But you can just go to the attraction and it will just register your hands. The web shooters just add more firing options.
Who wouldn't want to wear a web shooter?
Exactly. But there's a really cool attraction there where you can shoot your webs.
And they write it into the stories that they're writing with. I mean, they have a comic run based on.
They do. Yeah, it's
I can't remember.
Oh my god, something. It is like web something. I know web is in the name of it all.
Is it web tech or No idea.
I can't think of it off the top of my head.
But it is really cool regardless. And then, the drone.
Yep.
Has that always been there?
When he unlocks the suit. Yeah. If we're going to talk tech, the MCU suit has the most tech of any other suit.
Yeah. That's why I loved when they showed it in it was Homecoming, when they had the suit on the bed in the hotel.
Yep, flipped inside out. In it. I think that was a really fun detail. I mean, the suit hitting the button. Ow. I actually hit myself pretty hard there.
And then it automatically forms around you.
Yeah, it just, and syncs up. I think that's really cool. That explains how he can get the suit on so quickly without having to change.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's the missing scene in every movie. It's
exactly.
20 minutes it takes to suit up.
Yeah.
No mention of a dancer's belt. Lack of representation.
The suffering. Yep.
Moment of silence for our fellow cosplayers.
Exactly. And I think
the most techie suit, which was in the MCU, and in the Civil War comics,
Iron Spider.
Hell yeah! It is. Wow, what a Marvel, pun intended. I mean, the suit in the comics was glorious.
It was beautiful, so sleek. It was weird that it only had 3 arms, though.
Right.
I stand by the fact that it should always have had 4.
I agree.
I think most people do.
No, yeah. It just makes way more sense. But
the
way they did it in the MCU was honestly the flawless way I could have pictured it.
I loved its look so much.
Yeah, the design, I have my drawbacks on it, but the functionality and the effects they use for putting the suit on the nanotech,
it's beautiful.
Its introduction, open locker 1, whatever.
Oh my god, and it shoots down okay, technically,
out of Avengers
if we want to count its introduction, it was just kind of revealed to us on a flip at the end of Homecoming.
That is true.
But its first, actual
when he wears
it.
Right.
His first suit up. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. And there's so much functionality in that suit. I don't think we can even try and cover it all. But
no.
Obviously, we have the HUD that Iron Man has, the arms,
right?
The giant web shooters with the gold cuffs.
You have its own AI.
Right. Obviously, it's armored. It's metal, nanotech. It senses his thoughts and moves upon reaction to him.
Vitality.
It's incredible.
I mean, his suits can literally dry himself off if he falls into water.
Right. That's before the Iron Spider. That thing probably has a full laundromat inside of it.
There's the parachute.
Yep.
That suit was loaded. I don't know how on earth they get a spandex suit to pack that much, but it's Tony.
Right.
He figures out a way no matter what.
He's a genius. Genius.
He really is. Philanthropist. I can't speak English.
Is that the guy that studies dinosaurs?
I love that sitcom.
Wow.
Wasn't expecting to talk about this today.
Anyway.
Can we do an hour segment on dinosaurs?
I don't think so.
No.
Right,
I couldn't do that. Maybe Alf. I could do Alf.
I could do one on anyways.
Other
suits.
Other suits, yes.
There are so many. There are the ones that are made for functionality and the ones made for cosmetic appearance.
Yep.
I mean, we had the Secret Wars 2 suit, since there was a symbiote suit, and then this one was black with the blue and the red.
Yeah.
Way oddball. Love it. We have the anti-electro suit that's not cosmetic.
Yep. You, of course... Oh.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you, of course, also have his standard red and blue, but then if you go back, the red and black.
Yep.
And
Alex Ross made it red and black again.
Yeah.
His art.
Yep.
Thanks.
That works for me.
And then we have so many suits. We could even go into all of the Spider-Verse, but those characters, I think, deserve their respect for being separated from Peter.
There are a few suits that I don't need to go in depth on, but I want to bring up.
Absolutely.
The current run of Spider-Man had this one suit for I don't know how long. I'm not caught up with it. I'm missing a few issues, so I haven't been able to read them.
I think it was only 15.
I don't even think even. It was introduced in issue 61 or 62 of the current run of Spider-Man.
But it's beautiful.
It is a beautiful suit, and
blue, white, gold.
I feel like from what I've read so far, it hasn't been utilized in the way I want it to, but I think it's cool that they've kind of made him an influencer. I think it's kind of funny. Almost against his will. It's a cool upgraded suit, but like it will shoot advertisements with fireworks out of it. It live streams the footage online with Jameson making sure that none of Peter's information gets leaked. He has the cancel button if anything gets said.
He took notes from what was her name? Speedball?
Yeah, exactly. Like it really it does feel like Speedball.
It really does.
But it's fun.
The lenses, those like mechanical circular.
They are
the little
so cool. It's such a slick suit. That's one I really want to do real soon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally feel that. I think one of the other suits that need to be mentioned would. I totally forgot what suit I was going to talk about.
Well, if you want, I can talk about another while you're thinking of that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Spider-Man Worldwide. You touched on it a minute ago. That suit is sick. I love its design. The huge spider that lights up with that greenish glow, and having the built-in webware.
Yeah.
Having that communication technology as well as all the gadgets that it comes with.
The webware bracelets were incredible.
It really
that
was
such an ingenious thing to add into the plot.
They kind of brought it back a little bit also in this current run of Spider-Man.
Nice.
One of the characters has a webware bracelet that, even though Peter, they were all shut off and disabled, he jailbroke his to control a bunch of other stuff and get emergency alarms about incoming disasters like heroes and villains causing danger.
Dang, got a totally vigilante'd out Apple Watch.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
it
awesome.
warns him of danger.
Yeah, I think my definitive way I'm going to imagine that suit is the Hot Toys of the suit for the. It was for the PS4 version.
Yeah,
which is ripped out of the comics.
Right.
They have like a UV. If you shine a UV light over it, it has like hexagons that make up the armor. It's incredible.
Oh,
and it's so on par for the suit.
I gotta find that.
Yeah, I mean, if you got $350 to blow on another Hot Toys, but have no fear. I think one of the Spider-Verse ones I do want to mention, because it's such a diverse, like, just off the beaten path. Spider-Man Noir.
Yes.
It's no tech. He's got a turtleneck, a vest, some pants, some shoes, a belt, a trench coat sometimes.
Yeah.
His mask is like a flight mask,
the
kind
fedora
of modified.
Is sometimes one of my favorite parts. Sometimes.
Agreed. And then he has guns.
Yeah.
Like,
he's brutal.
Yeah, I love it. It's so
it is
spot on.
So well noir.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's incredible. It's a creative take, especially.
Yeah. If we're talking different versions of Spider-Man, Miguel O'Hara. 2099. That suit is so beautiful, and I think it works as a great representation of a future Spider-Man, because he's not just copying Peter's look. Yeah. At this point, the age of heroes has kind of disappeared.
Yeah, it's just...
and there's not a lot left over from that era.
Right. It's
outside of word of mouth.
York.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's super cool. It's such a creative take. Entirely different Spider-Man, entirely different set of abilities, origins very different. He was essentially working on splicing DNA with human DNA and animal DNA. Someone didn't want him to live, and so they got him into his own contraption and injected him with spider DNA, because I think that's what they were working with as a base, and because he was trying to recreate Spider-Man. Yeah, and that's exactly what they were doing in the original story with Peter's parents. The project went wrong, and, well, we ended up with a very cool take. Yeah. The fangs, the claws, oh my god. It was so 90s edgy. Instead of being just a normal guy, he now becomes almost this mutated man, which I think is a very cool deviation from the regular Spider-Man we know. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, with the Spider-Man we know, he's gone everywhere. He's done so much. He even had the powers of Captain Universe. And he was... That was so cool. What did they call him? Spider-Man... Cosmic Spider-Man. Cosmic Spider-Man. Jinx. Yeah. And obviously other Spider-Men have adorned that. But I think we'll talk about them eventually too, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I say outside of the suits, the comic lines that the suits come from are
remarkably important. They are.
With the symbiote suit, he had lost it, and Kraven's last hunt.
Yes.
Felicia made him a replacement version of it that didn't have the powers. He was using his web shooters again, no symbiote, but she made him that black suit because he missed it. And then Kraven,
it was a cool design. Takes the suit and goes on a rampage.
Right. As this macho fucking jacked Spider-Man.
It's so crazy.
Know the difference, but
and I mean that's the story that leads into my first comic book line, which we talk about in episode 1.
Yeah. If you haven't watched that already,
go back and watch it.
I mean, thanks for making it this far.
What are you doing though?
Yeah, go watch the other.
Go watch episode 1.
I promise you won't regret it. No.
Yeah. But anyways, yes.
Yeah.
The black suit. Yes.
Yeah. That story is incredible. Ties directly with the suit. That suit Felicia made for him, that was a replica, was only really for that run.
Right.
There are other ones like that, like the Spider Armor Mark 1.
Yep.
That was in one issue.
And gets destroyed later on.
Didn't even make it for a specific villain. It just gets frozen off of him.
Yeah.
It was cool looking. I love it. But
yeah, I like when they bring it back.
Right. And like I mentioned earlier, the anti-electricity suit with Electro. And then they did the super cool take on it for PS4. But
yes. I like that it doesn't just look like a normal Spider-Man suit.
Right.
It's not just an insulated suit. It's its own thing.
Right. And they covered that fairly well in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 when he was fighting Electro. He had to rework his web shooters entirely with the ground and all that to make him take on the electricity, which is a good workaround for not making a new suit, because I don't think they would have wanted to. That was the debut of the new suit in that movie alone. But any other kick-ass suits that we want to mention? Bombastic Bagman.
Yeah, Bombastic Bagman. One I cosplay quite frequently lately, actually. I've gotten into him like 2 or 3 times in the past few months, which is a lot for costumes sometimes.
Indeed. It's true, especially when you have as many spider suits as Peter.
Yeah, I think I'm at 11 suits now.
Nice.
Yeah.
When are you going to open Parker Industries? I'd like to buy an Apple Watch.
I am actually going to be making some webware props at some point, so if you want one.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do that. Maybe we should do that for the channel. A little project day.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I think so. I honestly can't think of any other suits I'd want to cover on. Obviously, in Far From Home, when he has the suit you're wearing, he fights Mysterio. The suit was made to fight Mysterio. Not specifically. He just needed a new suit.
He needed a new suit, and it's the first suit outside of his homemade suit. Oh, the homemade suits. Yes. But it's the first suit outside of his homemade suits that Peter makes himself.
Yeah.
He didn't make the first version of this suit. That was Tony. He didn't make the Iron Spider suits. Also Tony. He made this suit.
Right.
And the way he goes about it, looking at Happy's face, it's got a lot of Iron Man there, and
it strikes such a
cry every time.
Especially when he puts his hand in the hologram
and starts just working on it
instead of the Iron Man glove. Like when Tony first tests it out in Iron Man, it's the web shooter, and then they have all of those unused costumes on the screen.
Yes, I want to see them. There were some really nice Easter eggs there.
Agreed. And the suits that are going to come out are sensational, unintended, but
homemade suits.
Yeah, the homemade suits we can't cover.
We've got one in every movie so far. Yeah. From Tobey Maguire's suit, which was like the track suit.
Human spider.
The human spider with the spray painted red like sweater.
And then
like just the normal
balaclava,
yeah. And he's wearing like hockey gloves.
Yeah. Then we have Tasm, where he has just like
the hat, beanie with like sunglasses and a red mask and
a jacket.
Yeah.
Jeans.
My favorite though is Tom's, and I still have to make the mask for my suit.
Agreed.
But that is another suit that I need to get more photos of. I love it so much.
Yeah.
That homemade suit from like the long socks remind me a lot of boxers. Mm-hmm. It makes me think of like a boxer, the way it is. The hoodie with
any sport
no sleeves.
I mean, you play soccer, you need long socks.
Exactly.
Play football, you need long socks.
Yeah.
Any sport you can really think of for the most part, that's like as physically active as Peter is.
Yeah.
You need long socks.
But specifically, though, it reminds me of a boxer.
Yeah.
It's the tight socks with like the
The
sweatpants.
baggy pants.
You got the baggy overshirt and then a hoodie. It feels like. You ever play Punch Out?
Oh yeah.
Little
Yeah.
Mac. It
Yeah.
gives me big Little Mac vibes.
Absolutely.
Glass Joe's out.
I also really like the is it not Spectacular, the Disney one, the
Ultimate or
no, the one after that, the newest one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
Oh, yeah,
2018,
it's like-
2017. It was one of
He's
the
got
other.
the orangish goggles.
Yeah, the goggles.
Right,
It's the hoodie.
head.
Aunt May's sweatpants
Yeah.
or track pants.
It's amazing.
That was funny. Peter, have you seen my? No, Aunt May.
Peter, I can wash your clothes. Let me do it. No, I got it. Last time you washed your own clothes, they all turned red and blue. I was washing
an
a flag.
flag.
Nobody washes a flag.
Yeah, I
I
know
know
that now.
that.
I actually have done that. I threw my suit in a washing machine. This is when I first got my suit. And I didn't
wash your spider suit in a washing
I
machine.
know.
Unless you know the proper precautions.
I know. Well, I did. I set it to everything right. But I didn't see a couple of towels in there.
That'll do it.
That will.
Spider-Man doesn't wear a cape. It's disrespectful. I think one thing we have to touch on for sure is Into the Spider-Verse. We couldn't really touch on it with the live-action movies or the shows or the comics because it's such a great amalgamation of all of them. I mean, we have, outside of the other characters, it's just such a great representation and touches on so many events and villains and plot points. In the
It
comics.
really does.
We even get Spider's lair with the spider buggy.
Yes, oh my god! How did I forget about the spider buggy and the spider mobile too?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nothing ever beats those.
No, they're essential. Truly.
One of my favorite comic book runs ever: Spider-Man and Deadpool.
Yep.
The spider buggy, using it for the road trip.
Absolutely.
Anyways, getting off topic there, back to Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
They did such a great job representing all of the characters.
Right. Like, Scorpion was obviously Miles' universe.
Right.
Scorpion. But we had, like, Tombstone. We had Kingpin. We had... not Otto Octavius.
Yeah.
Octavia. I don't know.
Olivia. Was it Olivia?
That's a great question. All I know is she was
Uh,
amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
My friends call me Liv.
Liv. Yep.
Olivia Octavius.
Olivia Octavius.
That one's incredible. I mean, they touched on so much in that movie. It's hard to
It
even
is.
think about.
Prowler was
Incredible.
incredible. I don't think there could have been a better
Yeah.
performance for
And again,
Aaron.
it was Miles's. It wasn't
Yep.
Hobie Brown.
It was
Aaron
Miles.
Davis. Yeah, which is great. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. Both actors for Spider-Man did a great job too. I think.
Yeah, Chris Pine, I think, was a perfect casting choice.
Indeed, and just the little details they worked into the movie, like the approved by the Comics Code authority,
Yes.
which I have a tattoo on my thigh of just because of that movie.
The comic book where it is like the Spider-Man,
the
like
covers,
the covers, and they
Oh,
changed
yeah.
his name out to like Bob or whatever in the comics.
right?
Since it couldn't be Peter in the
I
comics.
think it was Billy.
Or it was Billy. It was Billy.
Because my brain immediately went to Mighty Morphin Blue.
Yeah.
It was all my brain could think about. But yeah, that was amazing. And
It was so good.
I thought when I first saw that movie that they actually had scans of the comics because the art style was like so on par.
Yeah.
That
No.
it was completely new.
Yeah.
Completely recreated for it. And I love that.
And like throwing in like the Spider-Man popsicle with the gumball eyes.
Yes.
Just all the little references we got here and there.
Indeed.
It was so much fun.
Right. What Spider-Man villain... did we already talk about what Spider-Man villain you'd want to see in live action? I know we covered how Stan Lee wanted to see Kraven in episode 1.
One we want to see in live action. I don't think we've gone over this.
No.
That's a really hard one for me.
Even if it's one that's already been done before. One you'd want to see, like, in the MCU, per se.
I want to see Chameleon.
That's who I was gonna say, too.
Really?
Yeah.
That was kind of a no-brainer because I think Chameleon would really work as a villain, especially in the MCU. With how many
technically,
faces in
he's
the
already
MCU
in
there
there.
are.
But
technically he
easy
is.
recast, he's the chameleon.
Bring him back.
Right.
He was the bus driver.
Right.
That's right, he was the bus driver.
Yeah.
Dimitri.
I mean, as such a long time fan of Kamen Rider I've been, transformation belts was always my thing. So when I went back and watched Spider-Man the animated series and saw the belt, and that was always how they told him apart.
I don't know.
Like pretending to be Spider-Man.
I really like the way where they use prosthetics in the comics.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that adds a little more depth, because then it's not just a piece of tech that he has.
Right.
It's his skill and talent of putting these things on
That's
and
true.
replicating their voice.
What do you think about the comic version? Because the one I'd want to see in the movies is the comic chameleon, where he had changed, like he had the ability to shapeshift, and he had changed so many times that he had no idea what he was anymore, so he just took on that blank white face that we're so used to. That would probably be the chameleon I'd want to see.
I think if they were going to do it in the MCU, while that would be really cool,
You'd want to do the prosthetic.
I think it would be through prosthetics, or it would be holotech.
The shield tech.
Exactly.
The face.
The same thing that Nat uses.
Yeah.
Somehow, I guess Dimitri would get a hold of it.
I mean, he doesn't work for
S.H.I.E.L.D. He would get a hold of it and use it for his own motives.
Watch out, MCU. We're coming for your...
We're coming for you. We're coming for you, Russos.
We're not actually. Thank you for existing.
Oh, yes.
I have one of your signatures. Actually, I don't even know if you can see that here.
It might be a little off camera. Yes.
Anthony, you were a pleasure and honor to meet.
We have a steelbook. He got signed by Anthony Russo, and I didn't know about it until literally today.
Yeah, we love you 3000 to it.
Yeah.
Incredible. We gotta love a company that loves their fan base.
Yeah.
That always pays back. I mean, we love their creations in return.
Yeah.
And Spider-Man is the pinnacle of that.
Not to say that they don't make mistakes, but...
That is very true. But that's...
Let's focus on the positives for now.
I mean, we have, 70 years of Spider-Man?
Exactly.
It's very... It's inevitable.
Right. I think we've covered the gadgets, we've covered villains. I think we cover some comics, because we've been recording for quite some time. I think it's almost time to wrap up.
Sure.
So I think we'll go over the comics, and then we'll finish off with some Batman, since today is Batman Day.
I like that.
Alright, so I think starting off, do we want to go old to new or new to old?
We'll go old to new, just because I touched on it earlier.
Alright, let's start with you then.
Yeah, more in depth on the Secret Wars. I think that was one of my favorite and most impactful stories for Spidey.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was the first time that Spider-Man really got he was definitely a big part to the Avengers.
Right.
They invited him to go off into space. You don't do that with someone who you don't trust.
No, not at all.
He went into space. They had a humongous battle. He got his entire plot line altering and future changing story arc with the symbiote.
It set up Peter's character for years and years to come.
It was one of the first major changes in the character. I mean, so much went on Earth while they were gone.
Yeah.
When he got back, it was an entirely different world, and he was a different Spider-Man, truly. I mean, that's what they were saying in the headlines.
Yeah.
There's a new Spider-Man. He's all
a lot more
flashy.
intense.
Yeah, and he was angry.
Violent.
And I love
I'm
that.
so angry!
Or, oh boy, who was it in the animated series that he... Shocker! Yeah, it's incredible. And getting to see him interact so closely with the other Avengers for the first time in my eyes was just...
He really felt like part of the team.
Yeah, I mean, we got to see him have a face-to-face conversation with each of the Avengers individually, basically.
Yeah.
And we got to see him work closely with Iron Man and Hulk, Thor, Captain America.
Yeah.
It was great. Especially in space. Everything's more fun
in space. Yeah.
Especially Power Rangers.
In space.
Yeah, that run was, I think it was 10, 12
Yeah.
Something like 12 issues long.
It went on for a decent bit of time, and there's a lot of tie-ins to it too.
Yeah. I mean, it was
it was kind of the big event for the time.
Yeah. Was Secret Wars 1 where they had like a bunch of, like, they were all teleported? No, that was Battle World. That's what I was just thinking of. Battle World was great too. But nowhere near as big to Spider-Man, I think.
Right.
Getting the symbiote suit really changed the course of the character's history. And that was also when he started to bond closer with Felicity.
Yep.
Which changed his relationship with MJ. He had already lost Gwen.
Right.
He got down to a new low, and he turned into a new character.
Now, for being the world, like one of the biggest nerds of all time, how the fuck does he get so much of, like, how on earth? Because he's a nerdy character, but he gets all the girls.
Yep. But the thing with him is he doesn't get to keep them because they
die. They die, or they, like, time warps and changes and reality shifts, or all sorts of bullshit.
Yeah, it's
Mephisto.
Yeah, if anything, if there's anything I've learned in the last year with all the Disney Plus releases, everything's Mephisto's fault. But we've
according to fan theories.
Right, very true. But we've known that to be the case since the most god-awful comic book line of all time.
Yep.
Anyways.
Different day.
One more day? Alright, I'll see my way out.
Yeah, okay, this is the final episode. No.
Honestly, I would understand.
Yes. Alright, now we go from a big space level event down to something a little more down to earth, very local. This is very recent too. A still continuing series. I've got the first 3 issues here in my hands.
Yeah.
Non-stop Spider-Man. And it's not like the main series at all. It's a bit of a divergent from the main series. I think it's still connected to the current run, but it's before what's going on right now.
Do you think it's in 616?
It is 616, yes. So, essentially what's going on is we've got a new drug being spread around. It's called A+. It's a study drug that's being sold to, like, high schoolers, college students. It's like a really intense version of Adderall that literally your mind grows from it. It gets bigger and you get more intelligent.
That seems dangerous.
It is very dangerous because it causes brains to explode and people to have aneurysms. Peter's friend, Kel, takes the drug.
Oh no.
And her memory gets wiped. She doesn't remember who she is anymore.
Oh no.
And this happens to just about everyone who takes the drug. And so Peter's trying to get to the bottom of who's selling it.
Okay.
And Nora actually helps him out with this one.
Nice.
I
always love the side characters taking part of the helm in the story. It's so fun, especially with the Spider-Man side characters. Like Nora, what was her name? The lady with dwarfism that was with Superior. She was great. I think it starts with an A. Like Andrea or Angie or something.
Something like that. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I was zoning out.
She was remarkable and super fun to read. Mm-hmm. We've got characters like Gonke for Miles. We've obviously got Ned for Peter, who turned into the Hobgoblin.
Yeah.
We've got so many characters that can help drive a story.
Yeah.
It's another great thing about Spider-Man.
Yes. All I'm going to say is we have some people we don't expect to see acting in ways that we wouldn't expect to see either, really. As well as a big villain, I think, compared to what Spider's usually facing against street level wise. The main villain from what we know so far is Zemo. He's the one pushing the drugs.
Interesting.
Yes. Plays a major role in this series, actually. And one thing I love about these comics is the artwork.
Oh, yeah.
And their design for Zemo, I think, is my all-time favorite. He looks like a king.
Yeah, Zemo has captured my interest for so many years. I'm super glad we have him in live action, but in the comics, he's such an underutilized character for what I've read.
It's because he was so strange early on. His main goal was to glue New York City to the ground.
You gotta keep it in place.
Adhesive X?
Yeah.
It was so dumb. But over time, he really did develop to be an intense, really cool character.
I mean, already from that, you sold me. I want to see Zemo versus Spider-Man.
It's really some cool stuff.
That's something I've wanted to see for a while.
These first 3 issues have been the lead up to that. They still haven't face to face yet.
So it'll be like possibly 4 and on.
Yes, exactly. But the art style is incredible. We have these amazing, like, full 2-page spreads of artwork just going through, just amazing fight scenes.
Yeah.
The story's good. There's a decent bit of story throughout of it, but I think the real reason to read it is the action.
Oh, absolutely.
This story, it's non-stop action.
Right.
It's very fitting for the name.
Especially with the art style. I mean, the covers are phenomenal, but the actual inside the comic art style is just as good.
While looking at the comics, you might think, oh, this seems a little more kiddie. It's not too bad. Just wait till you see a brain the size of 3 city blocks. It's intense. They don't cut corners. It's a heavy hitter still.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful, and it is really funny. It's still very funny.
It's Peter.
But it's still very grim.
Right.
And you need that darkness to a Spider-Man comic still.
Exactly. I think that's truly who Peter is. He's taking the darkness and carrying on and rising from it. Yeah. It's truly what he is at the deepest boiled down point you can get him. Yeah. And it's inspiring. I mean, we've both been severely affected in the best ways by Spider-Man.
We definitely got bitten by the spider.
Agreed. Yeah. I think there are other characters that interest me just as much as he does, but I think Spider-Man will always probably take my number 1. Easy answer, who's your favorite comic book character?
Spider-Man. Absolutely.
Yeah, which is why I think it was an obvious choice for us. Might be our first character deep dive.
Yeah. I think with that, though, I'm ready to get into some normal clothes.
I agree. Reality is fun to alter, but dance belts are not fun to wear.
No, they aren't.
So, shall we?
Is it my turn?
I think so. Oh my god.
I just farted.
I was going to say that was easier than I expected, but I did it earlier. And
that wasn't a bit. I actually just farted. I'm sorry.
Oh dear God, my eyes!
Sometimes reality warping really takes it out of you, you know?
Yeah, I was definitely flattered before we warped.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways, you want to talk about a bit about Batman before we wrap the episode up?
I think so. It being Batman Day, we should kind of talk about what's going on in the world of Batman.
Absolutely.
I think starting out, the Robert Pattinson Batman coming out next year, I believe?
Yeah.
People finally saw it for the first time.
Test screening.
Got rave reviews.
I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Now, I don't know what specifically happens. No one's really said anything from what I've been able to find online. But it was received really well, so that gives me a lot of hope. I was already excited, but
I heard that this is like a lot of people's like favorite version of Selena Kyle.
Really?
And that's incredible. We heard that the Penguin's role was very small but great, and that he's either going to have his own series or an own movie about it. I can't remember, which is great. I mean, Colin Farrell, or however you say his name, love him. He's a great actor.
It's a strange choice, though, for a spin-off.
Yeah.
A Penguin series.
Yeah. Gotham showed me that any spin-off can work.
True. I gotta finish that still, actually.
I love it. The last season is entirely comic book.
But
that show's been done for a while.
Right.
Yeah. Another recent comic run.
Yes, Batman 89.
Mm-hmm.
going back to the Michael Keaton Batman, which we're both very fond of.
Oh yeah.
I have issue 1. I don't think issue 2's out quite yet. I don't want to talk about the plot at all. I don't want to say anything that would spoil it if you haven't read it yet, because it is a very new line.
Yeah, I mean, they only have 1 or 2 issues out so far.
Only 1, to my knowledge. But I love it. I love their interpretation of Robin so far.
Yes.
I love the way that they're setting up Two-Face.
Yes, absolutely.
Finally getting to see him as Two-Face.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams, Mr. Lando.
Yeah, got him right down there in front of the Falcon with Lobot.
That's incredible. Do you think they're
good.
going to take anything from that series for the Flash movies version of Michael Keaton Batman? I feel like...
No.
I feel like that they do that a lot with comics where it seems like they're leading on to something that's about to come out in a property, but it's really just its own thing.
I don't think it will have any gravity on it just because of how close the two are together.
Fair.
If they do, I won't be surprised, but I don't think that they will. It just doesn't make sense in my head.
He also seems like he'll have a smaller... I don't know if I'd say smaller. I mean, he has out-of-suit and in-suit scenes, as far as we know, so that's awesome.
We'll
I can't
see.
wait to see 2 Batmans on the screen in a Flash movie, which
I know,
is way
right?
overdue.
Having Ben Affleck come back, as well as... why is my brain
Ben
blanking?
Affleck?
Yeah, having Ben Affleck come back alongside Ezra Miller.
Yep.
Michael Keaton.
Who, I don't remember her name, but their Supergirl looks incredible.
Oh, yes!
Superman's daughter. Woo!
It's exciting.
Yeah. New suit for the Flash, too. But...
all the behind-the-scenes photos we've gotten have been so good and so exciting.
Yeah. I mean, same with the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
I think his Batmobile might be my new favorite.
The muscle car.
Yeah. I just love the muscle car.
It is really cool.
Having the back fenders, like, almost turn into the, like, fin tail, like, wing-esque shape that we're used to, having, like, actual wings, but having them actually formed into the car is great.
Yeah.
The big engine in the back with the giant exhaust ports, I just love it.
Yep.
The Patmobile.
Now, we also have Injustice coming out, the animated movie. The trailer looks amazing.
Indeed.
But we're running low on time, so we're speedball in these last few things.
Yeah.
On top of that, we have... I want to call it a radio show, but it's not radio. HBO Max is putting out an audio drama based on the Batman.
In time with the Guardians.
And that's, I think, releasing today.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that'll give my drive to work a bit more gravitas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On top of that, we also are getting a comic book series about the Batman being written by I don't know if it's written or drawn by 14 different people, or if it's like all drawn by 14 different people. Anyways, all of the people working on it are from different places in the world.
Right, which is awesome.
It's such a cool event that we don't really see stuff like that often.
No, I mean, we have Star Wars Visions, but that's all from Japan.
That's Japanese animation, and they're individual stories.
Exactly.
This is very different, I think. This is a Batman story written from multiple people with multiple different backgrounds.
Right.
And I'm excited to see how it's all going to connect.
Yeah, I mean, the more Batman content, the better.
Exactly.
Obviously. One more fun fact about Batman to share with our viewers. I have a magnetic Adam West Batarang on the front of my car, and my keys have the Batwing on them as a keychain.
We're big fans of the Adam West Batman.
Oh, yeah.
The 60s TV show. It's so campy, but so much fun.
I mean, even Batman's a fan of Adam West Batman. For the show.
Yeah. The animated series. I got to touch on this real fast.
Oh, absolutely. It's Batman Day. We can't not.
Adam West plays a hero in one of the episodes, like from a TV show that Bruce would watch growing up.
Right.
And so this hero, what was it? The Grey Ghost? I think it was the Grey Ghost. Is a very Batman noir-esque character. Kind of like if Batman and the Green Hornet mixed in terms of appearance.
Love it so much.
it works really well though.
Yeah.
No, and having Adam West voice him was really fun.
Yeah, and he did like Catman for Fairly
Yep.
He was obviously the mayor, but that was entirely not Batman related. Yeah.
Mayor West.
Oh yeah, Mayor West in Fairly Odd Parents. I was thinking.
No, Mayor West in Family Guy.
Oh, he was Mayor West too. He was just Adam West.
Yeah, he was just Mayor West.
Love it.
Yeah.
Adam West is great. Burt Ward is great.
They really
Cesar Romero is great.
Oh my god.
All of their villains were great.
Then the animated movies, we got the first one over there, but the second one, William Shatner as Two-Face.
Yes. Shatner is great. He's like just like the era of West. He was a great actor.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I love everything to do with the characters we've touched on today.
Me too. Holds special places in my heart. You know?
Yeah. And they're kind of the kings.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got like Iron Man, but in the comics he wasn't really that big
until
the MCU.
Until MCU came out.
Spider-Man and Batman are probably
they've stayed on top for all time.
Exactly.
And
Superman, I don't even think gets super close to Batman or Spider-Man's
Batman's
popularity.
always on top.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah, those two, they're pretty important characters.
Yeah. Well,
I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah. Drew, no.
Infinity Stones! No! Hey, thanks for watching today's episode.
Feel free to join us
next time
on
The Hero Couch. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this one, make sure to leave a like. Helps us out a lot. And if you like us and you're on the go, feel free to follow us on SoundCloud or our YouTube. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Hit that subscribe button. Peace out.